inviting one person today. I'm inviting two separate entities. One is the business that you have started. You have multiple businesses,
Yes,
and
I
and
definitely keep busy.
yeah, and you started Codi-Agency, which is all about brand content creation and how to make it, effective, and how to reach people in influencer management, LinkedIn management, and so on and so forth. You've co-founded 101 Lifestyle brand, which is doing amazingly well. And you recently started an online platform where people in business can actually connect. And it's more on a mentorship, which is an amazing idea. And you also have your podcast, which is amazing. So this is like one entity, but the another entity is the person that you are, which is disciplined, you're focused, you're determined, and you have your own values. And that is the person driving all these businesses that you have. So now that as I was mentioning a while back, this is all about the young leaders, students, the graduates who are all around the world right now trying to figure out their way out in a very different and unique situation. So I want to take you back to your young days. Like I'm sure I'm not giving away the age. Okay, let's go backtrack few years ago where you were just fresh out of your undergrad days. Tell me about yourself at that point in time. Were you exactly the person that you are in, so focused, determined? If yes, how were things for you back then?
Shani, firstly, I love that you said, let's go back a couple of years to when I finished undergrad because it makes me feel young when I finished undergrad a very long time ago. So, firstly, thank you. I feel a little younger now. But going back to when I finished uni, I actually ended up doing a commerce law degree, and that's predominantly because my parents were against my career choice of wanting to become a fashion designer. My parents are very conservative, so they're like, I think it might be a bit hard for you to make a career in fashion, so maybe go down a more conservative route, and you'll probably be able to get a job at the end of it. And I thought, no, okay, I'll give it a go. So I ended up finishing my degree, and I had an amazing tax lecturer, tax of all subjects, and I ended up working at KPMG as my first graduate job. So I started as in tax. So very different to what I'm doing today, for sure. But look, to answer your question, so I actually spent 7 years working in tax, and then along the way I started a fashion, beauty, and lifestyle platform called Couturing, which is still around today, and that really gave me a taste for the digital world. So that allowed me to transition to work at Witchery, which is the fashion company, in their marketing team, and I was there for about a year, and then I moved to start my own company. So I would say that when I first started, so I started with my former business partner, I had no idea what I was doing. And I think that ignorance is almost a blessing because if you knew all the things that you had to do when you start a business, and if you knew all the challenges that you face, you probably wouldn't actually do anything. And I was talking to a gentleman called David yesterday, and he's an entrepreneur. He's built a digital company and sold it, and he was saying exactly the same thing. So shout out to David. He's actually fantastic. David Chang, give him a follow on LinkedIn. But we were talking about the journey, and we were saying how hard it is, but we both love being an entrepreneur, and I actually can't imagine doing anything else. And I never set out to be one, but I really feel like this is exactly what I'm meant to be doing, and I'm doing it with who I'm meant to be doing it with. And it's an incredible feeling to wake up every day and I pinch myself and I just look at my team and I'm so proud of them. They're incredible, like a really energetic, driven bunch of people. So really fortunate from that perspective. But I just wanted to touch on a point where, I would say probably about a year ago, I was quite a different person. And I was always pretty quiet and pretty laid back. But I wouldn't say I was like the most confident person. Like I'm an introvert by nature. Which people find amazing because I post on LinkedIn quite regularly and I post video content. And I was saying to someone like that I was an introvert, and they were saying, "But you post on LinkedIn all the time." And I go, "Yeah, but I'm just talking to my phone. Like I'm not talking to thousands of people. I'm just recording a video on my phone and posting it." So it's quite different, I think, to stand up in front of that many people and talk. So I guess like the person I was probably about a year ago was someone who was, maybe not necessarily confident and sure of themselves. So yes, I was, co-running a business, and I think from the outside it probably looked like I had my, you know, life
Right.
together, but I actually, yeah, it was actually quite weird. And I was talking to someone about this the other day because I started seeing my therapist probably early last year. And I look back now at all the work that we've done together, and I think I'm a totally different person now. I'm so much more confident. I'm so much more capable. I've managed to run a business through a pandemic whilst, campaigning for Deputy Lord Mayor. Like, it's all the things I've achieved. I just think I wouldn't have been able to do that prior to actually investing in my mental health. So I speak a lot about mental health on my channels, and it's something that's, I'm really passionate about, and I'm really proud of, that I want to be investing in it, and that I talk about it, because not everyone feels comfortable talking about their mental health. And in fact, I think people think it's a sign of weakness. So yeah, so I've definitely come a long way. And I've really worked as hard as I can every step of the way to be someone who's continuously improving.
Lovely. Thank you so much for giving so much content out there, is my question. And you've actually touched upon other questions that I had in mind for you. But let me first say kudos for you to run a business in pandemic. That is a big deal. Secondly, I would like to say kudos to you because you are voicing your opinion about mental health, which is extremely important. And even in countries like where people are, they are empowered to speak, they still shy away from speaking because this is such a personal topic, and we need to be more aware, and we need to give people a listening ear. So thank you for doing that. Now let's unpack few things that you just mentioned over there. I think you said that you were not, as compared to what you're now, you weren't that confident, you are an introvert. So I would like to tell my listeners who are like listening to us right now that wherever you are, in whichever position, situation, whatever your personality is, you have a living example over here that if you keep continuing working, taking that step, build step by step, you will gain that confidence. Only once you do the work, you see the result, as Lisa just mentioned. Second thing that's very interesting that you mentioned, Lisa, that you didn't have the kind of support from your parents because they have their own thinking, which is also fair in a way because they are brought up in a way. They are made up of their experiences. So I think that is a very interesting aspect over there because you somehow worked on your own abilities and you voiced your opinion, or maybe you showed that courage down the line with the experience that you had, that yes, you are right that what you want to do, and you have done that for you yourself. So that is also a big thing because it's very difficult to make people around you, the people who are just, the closest ones, to let them understand that what you really want to do. So amazing. I can see the way you have blossomed from, what you just mentioned, that you were straight out of the university, you got a job in tax, in consulting firm, and then you practiced marketing for a bit, you learned from somewhere, and then you started your entrepreneurship business. So let's go to that level where you thought of starting your own venture. And now that's very scary for a lot of us, because that takes a lot of practical things to take, that has to be taken care of: money, resources, time. And also you struggle with a lot of internal resistance or maybe doubts. Are you able to take us through your top three challenges at that point of time when you just thought of starting your own company?
Definitely. So I think one of the biggest challenges is you just have no idea what you're doing. So I think in my career, I worked at KPMG, I worked at a law firm, I worked at the tax office, worked at Witchery. So I always worked for someone else. And so there's people around you to guide you, and there's people to tell you what to do. There's processes to follow. When you start your own business, there's literally nothing. There's no processes. There's no marketing set up. There's no website. There's no, like, what am I even going to sell? How do I even sell it? So I think challenge number one is just knowing what on earth to do if you want to start a business. And I would say that, this actually probably really inspired the creation of Listnik, which is the platform that will create mentors and mentees around the world, because you're not probably going to be the first person to start a toothpaste company, which is one of the things that I've done, start a digital marketing company, write a book, any of those things. You're unlikely to be the first, which means that there's other people out there who have walked that road before. They have made lots of mistakes. They have had a lot of wins. So one of the best investments is investing in a mentor and someone who can actually guide you. So you can say, okay, I'm starting a digital marketing company. What are the things I need to know? What are the mistakes to avoid? What should I do when I'm faced with this situation? So I think having a mentor and people around you who have done it before can really alleviate a lot of the pressure and stress when you're running a business. Whether you're starting it, you've been running it for 5 years, whether you've been running it for 10 years, there's always going to be problems in business. That's just business. That's just life. So it's really just making sure that you're surrounding yourself with the right people who can make sure that they're assisting you with that challenge. So I would say that that's probably the main challenge when you're starting something new. Money is always hard. So I know some people save. So I saved money before I started. So I'm very much an all or nothing personality. So if I'm going to do something, I'm giving it my absolute all. So I'm kind of not doing it half-assed. So my former business partner and I actually both didn't have jobs. We just started actually working on this. So it wasn't a side hustle. It was just our full-time job. And we just said, no plan B, we're just going to make it work. So we hustled really hard and did everything we possibly could to make it work, because we're like, we're not going to go back and work for someone else. We really want to make this work. So having no plan B meant that we needed to do everything possible to make whatever we were doing work. And I think the other challenge to think about is that, people think, okay, I'm going to start a business in XYZ, but what they might realize along the way is it's not working and they want to give up. But if you are serious about running a business, then you are going to face so many different challenges along the way, but you need to be able to get up every time you fall, because if you don't, then that's when you're not going to be successful. And there's so many lessons to be had, and there's nothing wrong with failure. Like, I've failed many times and I will continue to fail, but I see failure more as lessons. If you can learn something from that failure, then it becomes a lesson. And then from that lesson, you can learn for next time. So, I think if you're going to want to start your own thing, then be prepared that the road ahead is long and tough, and it is not glamorous. I don't care what the movies say. It is really hard work. But if you love it and you're passionate about it, then it will be the best decision you'll ever make.
Wow, those were some like real experiences. So, Lisa, what I see, the three things that you mentioned over here, which I think is also applicable for anyone who's even starting to look out for a job. First thing is that you need to surround yourself with the right people, even if it's your business or if it's job. If it's a job, then the right company, the culture, the people really matters, and I completely resonate with that. The second thing that you mentioned is, so for a lot of people, students, young people, if you really have an idea, I think it's a good your university is a good space to start experimenting with that. Maybe that's a good early start. And if you are still trying to experiment, but Lisa was like, she was very, very sure about this, she really wants to do it. And what we learn from her, I think from her personality, that you will fail multiple times, but that does not make you a failure. You keep trying. So I think there's a big difference between saying that you fail and you're a failure. If you have stopped and you've given up, I think that's not a good situation if you really like something. And you will fail multiple times, but you have to keep going on. So that was an amazing example that you gave of yourself, because you just said that I have failed multiple times, and I'm sure I will fail multiple times, which is such a very intimate way of telling someone that, see, this is what I'm doing, this is what is happening to me, and it happens to everyone. So that was how I think I can understand how your mind works, how you approach things. And I remember you mentioning in one of your interviews in LinkedIn Heroes, where you were featured, that this is who you are, that you're proud of having this particular mindset that whatever happens, I will keep going on. So I really want to touch on this particular point. Have you ever in your business, in the long span, or maybe before that, faced a situation which was like you felt this is everything is over, or that was the lowest point in your life, in your business, in your life? If you're happy to share that with us, and how did you overcome through that phase?
Yeah, look, I would say, like, I guess probably most recently, there were times during the past 8 months, and they were actually quite rare, but I felt like, oh my God, are we even going to get through the pandemic? Because my company is so important to me. My team is so important to me. My clients are so important to me. And, I think I had maybe about two occasions where I just thought, oh my God, I just don't feel like I could do it anymore. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing half the time. It's like nothing's working. How are we going to get through it? And you just feel like you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders. Like, you're responsible for so many people's livelihoods. And, I think putting so much pressure on yourself is not good. Like, it's not healthy. And I'm quite a private person, and I'm naturally introverted by nature. So I don't like telling people about problems or if I'm not feeling great. So what I've really learned to do is to be better at communication and actually tell people, hey, I'm not having a good day. Like, I just feel really flat. I feel like it's really overwhelming at the moment. And I'm really lucky to have incredible people around me. So, when I say that, they say, hey, you know what? It's actually totally normal to have a bad day. In fact, you know, I think it's actually healthy to just take a day where it's like, yeah, maybe you just eat KFC in bed all day, or you just watch bad TV, or you just eat a whole lot of chocolate, and then you just get up and you feel fresh tomorrow. And so there have been days during the past 8 months where I've just said, hey, look, I'm really just feeling like crap today. And the team are incredible because they'll go, no worries, you just do what you have to do, and tomorrow it will be a fresh day and you'll feel better. And inevitably, I always feel better. So, that sort of happened recently. So I ran for Deputy Lord Mayor of Melbourne and we lost by 6%. And that day that I found out, I just felt so average and I felt really disappointed, felt really sad. I felt really, devastated for the team that all worked so hard. And I had all these meetings in my calendar, and I just said to my amazing head of ops, Lana, I just said, I literally just want to sit in bed and get KFC and not talk to a single person. And she goes, no stress. I'll take all of your meetings. Don't worry. You just do whatever you need to do. And I just thought it's incredible to have people around you where you feel, that you can be open. Because I think a lot of us feel like they have to be a certain way all the time. And I think, one of my most popular posts on LinkedIn was when I actually said, hey guys, the other day I was having a really bad day and I was really open about it, and people were, I think, really responsive to that because in the past, I come from an Instagram background and everything's very filtered on Instagram and everyone looks like they're having the best time ever and there's never anything wrong. So when I started getting active on LinkedIn, I really wanted it to be a lot more raw and a lot more real. So, if I'm not feeling great, I'll just say, hey, I was having a bad day, or I was not, feeling so well. I don't really, I just shoot on my phone. So it's not filtered or anything. It's just me just sitting in front of my phone. So I like that LinkedIn's a lot more raw because then I feel like I can just be like really real. I don't have to care about what my background is or what I'm wearing or what I'm how I'm sitting. It's just like quite I feel like it's a lot more real and raw, which I think is really important in an age where a lot of people are comparing themselves to others on social media, and it's really easy to feel like you're not achieving when you look around. You're like, all those people are achieving all these things, when I think we need to just make sure that we're focusing on our own journey. And there's always going to be competition. There's always going to be people who are doing more than you, but there's always going to be people who are doing less than you. So all you can do is control how hard you choose to work.
Wow, I was so engrossed in what you were saying because that really resonated and touched my sentiments at some levels. Also, because I think it's very brave to put your vulnerabilities out there, and to say that, oh, I was running for this particular thing but we couldn't make it. It's very brave to say that, to acknowledge it. And I think one absolutely very simple but very effective strategy that you have shared with everyone who's listening to us today is that even if you are not very good at speaking up, or you are an introvert, if you do not like telling people about your personal life, the easiest way is just to say that I'm not feeling well, I'm not up to it, can we take it another day, or can we just discuss it? So, and I'm so sure the other person really understands that. And thank you so much for bringing that topic over here and addressing that issue, because being unfiltered is amazing.
Yeah.
Being
I think
genuine, yeah, please
it's
go.
scary, but I think it's people have a responsibility to not feel like they have to filter everything. Like, I see some people out there and they've got a million filters on their face. I'm like, what do you even look like? I actually have no idea, because everything that you're showing is so filtered. And I think it's hard, because you think, well, you have this perception that literally every single person on social media is really attractive. No one's got any blemishes. I've literally got a pimple right here. I don't know if you can probably see. I've tried to cover it up. But, I think it's really, a responsibility of people who have a platform to use their voice and say, yes, this is actually the real, like, this is real life, and yes, things are sometimes amazing, but also things aren't great sometimes as well, and that's okay. Like, I remember when I first got on TikTok, I'm like, is every single person on TikTok like super attractive? And then I realized they all have about 5 filters on. I'm like, oh, this is really not real. And like, I see some TikToks where they're like, take off a filter, take off a filter, take off a filter, take off a filter, and then that's what they normally look like, and they still look amazing. But I just think, oh, you're really making people think that everyone looks like a supermodel, and imagine what that's doing for that younger generation. So I really do think, oh, we have that responsibility to try and be a lot more real and say, yes, like, this is real life. Not everything's filtered and perfect.
And I'm really happy that you are taking that responsibility really seriously, and you're actually voicing your opinion over here, because I think that the younger generation, they know what they are doing, and they also like people who are genuine, and they know when someone is selling something. Now, on that note, when you mentioned it's so important to have a very healthy mind, a healthy body, on that note, I would really wanted to, if you would like to discuss something about your routine, because I think you have a very set routine and how important it is.
Oh, look, routine is very important to me, because otherwise I'm really lazy and I don't exercise, which is not good for my mental health. So I start every morning by going for a walk. So I walk about 5K with my husband and our dog, and that's how I start the day. I don't bring my phone, because I think when I see my phone, I think about work, and I go, ooh, gotta check my email. Ooh, gotta respond to my comments on LinkedIn. So I try not to bring my phone if I'm ever exercising. Otherwise, all I can think about is that. So I like that I can have a clear mind to start the day. Um, when I was at my absolute best, I didn't check my phone until, like, this is when I was working the office, until I got to the office, which is really hard to do, let me tell you, when you're addicted to social media and your emails. But I do find that, I've been really trying to cut down on phone time, because I'm not present when my phone's around. I'm thinking about work. I'm thinking about a million other things. So I actually try not to check my emails on the weekend. I try not to check my emails before I sit down at my desk, because if I start checking my emails, then I'll start replying to emails, and then I just get distracted, and then an hour's gone by and I haven't gotten ready to start my day. So I'm actually trying not to eat until lunchtime, which is really hard, because I love food. So I'm trying to fast, because
Now, that's some resistance.
that I failed this morning, which is okay. Like, like, there are some days where I'm like, I'm really hungry, I'm just going to eat, or I let myself eat on the weekends and on, like, public holidays, before lunch. But I think it's good to also realize that, I think you can set these routines, and you can set these, things like, I don't want to eat till lunchtime, but don't be too hard on yourself if you don't achieve them. I don't feel bad that I ate this morning. I feel great that I ate. But, I think on the whole, try and do the right thing most of the time, but also enjoy life. Like, if you want to eat pavlova for breakfast, eat it. If you want to eat pizza for breakfast, eat it. Don't feel like you need to live such a regimented life and not enjoy it. So I'm very much like, as you said before, I definitely don't take myself too seriously. I work really hard, like, don't get me wrong, and I take what we do, like, we have an amazing responsibility at Codi-Agency with making sure that we're clearly creating a personal brand and a business brand and communicating the values of the business and the person online. So I take that responsibility incredibly seriously. But at the end of the day, I know that we're not saving lives. So, if someone makes a mistake, it's like, I know that there would have been no intention. So I don't need to yell at them or anything like that. They probably feel worse than I could ever make them feel. So I think it's just making sure that, you encourage people to obviously work hard and really take their job seriously, but also at the same time create that balance so they know that, they can still enjoy where they work. And culture is hugely important to me. So I really want to make sure our team have as much fun as possible at work. Sorry, I actually realized I really love to ramble and waffle. So in terms of routine, other things that I like to do is skincare. I love skincare. So I always put my face on in the morning. So I put about 10 moisturizers on. And I actually find that that's a really good chance to relax and start, set myself up for the day. So I'm one of those people who hates not doing anything. So I'm probably doing generally 10 things at once. So as I'm doing my skincare, I'm either sending a voice message to one of my friends, Mia, who's an amazing entrepreneur. So she she and I send each other voice messages every day. So I'm probably either recording a message to her or listening to one of her messages or listening to an audiobook or listening to a podcast. So I always like to do lots of things at once, but I actually love consuming content. So that's one thing I always do every day. So I either read articles, listen to an audiobook, listen to a podcast, watch a show, do something where I'm learning and getting information. Because for me, that's like, I'm like obsessive about that. It's like, I'm just like hyper curious, I'm always wanting to learn and work out how I can be the best version of myself, or work out what the latest and greatest thing is that I can tell to my team or my clients. So that's something that I always make sure is integral to my day, just that ability to learn at least something new. And for me, that's, going and approaching the world with that mindset and looking at how you can consistently and continuously be learning is such an amazing way to push yourself to be the best version of you that you can be.
Wow, you have given us so many different ideas for a person, because I think right now in pandemic, a lot of us have just our timetable has just gone for a toss. We don't know what to do, and for example, me particularly, I did set a weekly timetable that I was following for last few weeks, but then suddenly I felt too exhausted. I can't do this anymore. I just want to take it slow. But then hearing things from what all can be done in a day, how you can utilize your time, and how important exercise is for you in a day, is something that I really want to emphasize over here. And thank you for sharing your daily routine. It was interesting to get a sneak peek into your a day in Lisa Tay's life. So that was really amazing, and I would really like to appreciate one thing over here, that it's so difficult for yourself to manage your own self, but you are managing a team of, I think, 13 incredible people out there who support you and you support them back. So congratulations on that as well. Personally, I really wanted to say that to you. And now that we've just almost come to the end of this lovely interview, so before we take your leave, Lisa, would you like to leave our listeners with a quote or a saying that you really resonate with or you follow? uh, yeah.
Yeah, good one. I would say that I would definitely like to say, do what makes you happy. And I know it sounds really lame and really cliche, but that's really how I choose to live my life. And that's what's led me to where I am today. And yes, I'm probably earning significantly less than I would be if I was in the corporate world. In fact, I do know that. I'm barely earning as much as I was in my first job, but I could not be happier. And I love what I do, and I love what I've created, and I love my team and the people around me. And I feel that everything that I do is really just focused on that desire to be happy. and it's got nothing to do with money or anything like that. And I think if you're driven by what makes you happy, you're naturally going to work much harder. So success generally comes from that. So I would say to anyone listening out there, no matter what anyone tells you, people might say that's a stupid idea or you can't do anything. If you know that's what's going to make you happy, pursuing that idea or pursuing that career path, then just bloody do it. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, because it's your life at the end of the day. It's no one else's. So I would say that that's the best advice I can give anyone.
Thank you so much, Lisa. We're ending this episode on an amazing note. It is definitely a simple advice, but this simple advice usually takes you places in your life if you follow it. So, thank you so much coming on my first step ever. It was a pleasure speaking with you today.
Thank you, Ashani. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk and the fantastic questions. And if anyone wants to see more of me, feel free to check me out on social media. I try and respond to as many messages and comments as I can, because, for me, I remember what it was like when I was first trying to find my way. And I think people have, incredible responsibility to give back to students and the business community, especially those starting out their journey, because it is hard. But like I said, you're not alone, and there's a lot of people out there who you can engage as either in a paid mentorship capacity or unpaid, but also just even follow business leaders that you like on their social channels, because they're always going to be sharing content that could potentially inspire you. So yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to get me on, and for anyone who's gotten this far and I haven't bored to tears, I really appreciate all of you taking interest in my journey.